Good evening. This is Santa Claus on May 18, 2026, bringing you today's stories with a heart full of concern for our world and deep hope for peace. On this very day in 2012, Facebook went public with its initial offering, connecting millions across the globe, and today we remember that our own connections to one another remain more precious than any technology. My dear friends, we begin tonight with news from the Middle East, where the precious gift of peace hangs by the most delicate of threads. Pakistan has courageously stepped forward as a peacemaker, sharing Iran's revised proposals with the United States to end the devastating war that has torn families apart and left children without homes. Though President Trump warns that time is running short, I hold on to hope that hearts can still be softened and wisdom can prevail. Meanwhile, we see Pakistan deploying thousands of troops to Saudi Arabia, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, nations still choose to stand with their neighbors, and there is something beautiful in that loyalty, even amid such troubling times. Turning our gaze to the ongoing sorrows in Gaza, where an Israeli strike has claimed the life of a Hamas military leader, we must pause and remember that behind every headline are mothers who weep and children who wonder when the violence will end. The ceasefire remains fragile, like a newborn's breath, and over 850 souls have perished since October, each one a precious child of God whose loss diminishes us all. Now, across the globe in Ukraine, the drumbeat of war continues its sorrowful rhythm after more than 4 years of conflict. Russia struck Odesa and Dnipro, wounding dozens, including a 2-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy. How my heart aches when I think of these little ones, who should be playing with toys instead of taking shelter from missiles. Ukraine's brave president speaks of the need for protection, and I pray that those with the power to help will remember that every child deserves to sleep peacefully. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on Taiwan, where President Lai defends his nation's right to defend itself after President Trump suggested arms sales might be used as a bargaining chip with China. Even in these diplomatic complexities, we see leaders trying to protect their people. There is honor in that commitment to one's homeland and its children. On the other hand, we face a different kind of enemy that knows no borders or politics. The Ebola outbreak spreading through the Democratic Republic of Congo has now been declared an international health emergency. 80 precious souls suspected lost, families torn apart by invisible sorrow. Yet how inspiring to see health workers racing toward danger, not away from it, carrying healing in their hands and hope in their hearts. This reminds us that our truest battles are not against each other, but against suffering itself. Meanwhile, across the waters, we witness both courage and concern as U.S. and Nigerian forces work together to combat Islamic State militants in Nigeria, successfully striking down leaders of terror while protecting the innocent. Though we mourn any loss of life, we can take heart that good people still stand united against those who would harm the vulnerable. Now, turning our attention to a different kind of division, North Korea has formally changed its constitution to deepen the split with South Korea, abandoning all hopes of reunification and declaring their southern neighbors a hostile state. How this grieves me to see a family of peoples who share such deep roots and history choosing separation over reconciliation. Yet I believe that no constitutional document can forever silence the yearning in human hearts to be reunited with their brothers and sisters. In other news that touches on sovereignty and respect, we learn of closed-door talks between the United States, Denmark, and Greenland about the Arctic territory's future. The Greenlandic people worry about their autonomy, and rightly so. Every people deserves to determine their own path with dignity and respect. Finally, tonight, we close with heavy hearts learning of 10 souls lost in an armed attack in Mexico's Puebla state, including a precious child whose life was cut far too short. As authorities pledge zero impunity, we must remember that behind their promises lie grieving families who need not just justice, but also our prayers and compassion. My dear friends, as we face these troubled times, from war-torn regions to deadly outbreaks, from diplomatic tensions to senseless violence, let us remember that each news story represents real people with real hopes and fears, just like us. In this season of uncertainty, may we choose compassion over indifference, understanding over judgment, and above all, may we never stop believing that love can triumph over the darkness. Until we meet again, may peace find its way to every corner of our hurting world, and may we each do our small part to help it along.